Oh no, there's hair on this couch. If only there was something that could clean it. Yay, it worked. In all seriousness, this is one of the top vacuums that I've always recommended, at least ever since I got it back in 2018. This machine I've owned since 2018. This is the Bissell BigGreen commercial, model number BGU1451T. And I did not have to look at the serial sticker for that. I've recommended this machine for so many years that I have the model number memorized by heart. And that's for good reason. This machine is one of the best machines that you can get. And it's not even necessarily because it's particularly amazing. It's just because there's so many other machines that used to be good options in the sub $100 price range that now unfortunately are no longer available or have been drastically reduced in terms of features and quality. There's a lot of machines that I just don't recommend. I don't recommend anything from TTI this day and age. I don't recommend anything from Shark Ninja because both of those companies have had major issues with their machines and with their after sales support and parts availability. And unfortunately, that covers a lot of the industry because Shark is incredibly popular and TTI owns Hoover, Dirt Devil, and Auric. So that immediately eliminates all those brands. Medea, which makes Eureka, at this point is pretty much irrelevant in the US market. And unfortunately, as far as budget brands that you're going to find in a Walmart, that leaves Bissell. But while the Bissell Power Force Model 1739 bagged upright is one of my top recommended machines, I've always advocated, at least ever since this machine has been an option, since before that machine even really was, ever tried by me, that this was the better upgrade because yes, it's double the price, which I know for a lot of people seems like a tough pill to swallow. But you're getting double the vacuum. You're getting a machine where parts are readily available so you can keep this machine running for many, many years. And the expendables, unlike a more expensive commercial machine, are available at Walmart because they share parts with the older consumer variants, which means unlike your SIBO, unlike your Auric, unlike your Sanitaire F&G, you've got parts that you can get at Walmart. If you need to replace a belt because it broke when you were cleaning your hotel, you can send one of your coworkers to go to Walmart and buy a pack of belts and install them in less than 5 minutes. It doesn't require any tools beyond a basic Phillips head screwdriver, and this machine is way cheaper to run and significantly cheaper to buy a fleet of than even the less capable Oryx and Eureka Sanitaire F&G machines. This machine is better than those overall, and despite that, it still manages to be a good option for consumers as well. Because again, a lot of consumer machines now are just terrible and not considered as good machines, at least not by me, because I've reviewed pretty much all of them. And this machine is still the best. Now, what does this have? Now, again, I've had this machine for many, many years, since 2018. And this machine, despite it being, less than $150 in most instances, yes, retail it's like $200, but you can constantly find these on Amazon and Walmart for around $132. That's been the most consistent price for a long time. And yes, that may be double the $60 that you might be used to spending on a Walmart vacuum. But if you think about it, a lot of vacuums you get at Walmart are $120 or $80 or $70 or $90. This is only a couple bucks more, and it's a much better vacuum in every single way. It basically took the design of the previous generation Bissell Power Force uprights that used to be sold at Walmart for, as little as $40 back in the day, pre-inflation, am I right? And yet it has many improvements. Yes, it doesn't have the headlight and the bad check indicator those machines have, but you gain a stretch hose like the newer units. You gain a 30-foot cord with a pigtail design, so you can easily detach this. Even if you're not a company and you just have one of these in your house, if your kid runs over the cord and if this thick cord that's more durable manages to get damaged, you don't have to necessarily buy the Bissell replacement. You can put any cord on this should you need to. And you have a more rubbery plastic that's more shock absorbent that does add a little bit of weight to the machine, yes, but it also allows this whole thing to be way more durable and way more flexible. It also has better motor seals, so the filtration on this machine is much better than the previous generation Power Force units. And especially if you get this bag model and you combine it with a HEPA bag from Clean Fairy and just a basic generic HEPA post-motor filter, this thing will actually blow a 0 on a particle counter even without that HEPA bag in place, which is incredibly impressive. The motor seals are better, and this machine has a lot of reinforcements of the areas that were plastic on the consumer units. The height adjustment wheels that many consumers have reported breaking on their consumer older Power Forces, on this model, they're reinforced with metal. And it's not the only thing. The handle release mechanism is also way more durable. This is not broken in the entire time that I've had this. Whereas the consumer Bissells back in the day, these used to break after just a couple of years. This thing has been used hard and heavy for the last multiple years. And I've used this at the store that I work at for the last year consistently, where it's been beaten and battered around. And you can tell that it's got the scars from it, because the bottom plate is covered in scratches, and I did have to replace the brush roll. That is one thing I will say. These Bissells, the bearings on these brush rollers do like to go out. But you know how much this brush roller is? It's $15 for a genuine OEM Bissell brush roll. And if you're worried about getting a brush roll that dies after 6 years, which, I mean, $13 after 6 years, that seems perfectly reasonable. But even if you don't want to worry about that, you can buy an aftermarket CWP brush roller that's made out of wood and has serviceable end caps. And at that point, the performance of this machine, which already is really good, matches the performance of a Maytag wind tunnel, which most collectors would consider one of the best clean air machines that you could have gotten. This machine strides at that. And I know it sounds like it's an ad. This is an ad, and it's not just because I'm out of breath and desperately trying to get this video done really quickly, but it's also the fact that I've reviewed so many other machines, and they've all been returned because they all sucked. They were all terrible machines. So many machines, even machines that seemed promising, like the Hoover Max Life Swivel Pet, I might have said that wrong. That machine, which I almost thought I was going to recommend because the build quality was really good, has a major design flaw where the vacuum sits forward too far and it burns your carpets when you try to use the hose. This machine doesn't have that problem, and even if it did, it's much lighter weight and much easier to use, so you can easily tip it back while you're using the hose if you had to for whatever reason. You've got the stretch hose on this, which is a pretty decent upgrade from the consumer units. You actually get a decent amount of reach with this. It might not be enough to get up your stairs, but if you have a break in the middle of your stairs, I don't know what the term is, but if your staircase is split and each of your staircases is a half staircase with a landing in the middle, then you could get up your stairs no problem with this. And yes, while this machine is, not necessarily an 1.25 inch fitting, this shares a fitting with a lot of other machines, namely Dyson and Panasonic, Kenmore. A lot of those machines will use the same fitting as this. Now, because of the way it fits, some attachments fit better than others. But the most consistent attachments that I've gotten to fit on these is the entire Dyson attachment ecosystem, which has been great because it means if I'm using this commercially and I don't want to lug another machine to do bare floors, you've got the one extension wand on here. I can grab another extension wand, which I already have, but you can buy for just a couple bucks. Grab the Dyson articulating hard floor tool, and then from there you can use this machine to clean bare floors very effectively. And you don't necessarily need any extra machine to do the job. You don't have to worry about any stupid secondary brush roll motor failing or any goofy design that doesn't allow you to service the brush roller like a lot of sharks. This just has a basic rubber belt that you replace every 6 months. The belt is $3, and replacing it takes, worst case scenario, 10 minutes if you're also cleaning up the brush roll while you do that. That's all the maintenance you got to do besides changing the bag and every few years replacing that post-motor HEPA filter. And with that, that's pretty much all the maintenance you got to do on this machine. Combined with the fact that the bags that I recommend, you can get 20 of them for $20. Each bag lasts about a month and a half, and you've got a machine that overall takes very little money to run, is very easy to maintain, and it's great for someone with allergies. And for the record, I know I'm rattling off on the high points. Someone's going to accuse me, I'm sure, of being a shill. I did not buy this machine brand new. I did not pay full price for this machine. I have never bought this machine brand new at full retail, not even at the $130. I bought this in a damaged box on eBay back in 2018 for $40 shipped. And if you're worried that maybe my opinion is skewed because I got such a good deal on it, well, the equivalent Sanitaire SL4110A, which I've also recommended in tandem with this machine, this one I did buy brand new myself when it came out for $120. They're up to about 145 now, and sometimes they drop as low as 100 depending on the certain deal. But generally, I recommend both of these machines, and there is going to be, likely the next video is going to be a comparison between these two, as there's only a few subtle differences. But I recommend these both interchangeably, but if you had to pick right now, with the Bissell BigGreen being 132 and the Sanitaire being 145, I recommend the BigGreen, because the BigGreen, if these were the exact same price, would still get the nod because of the pigtail cord, because of the slightly more rubbery plastic, and because the parts that you're going to find are going to be tailored to this unit, not this unit. They'll still fit, but of course they'll color match with this a lot better, since the parts that you're going to find for this on the BigGreen website are going to be yellow and green. So, this machine, both of these, but primarily the BigGreen, is still one of the best machines that I recommend. It deep cleans carpets very well. Bare floor performance, of course, is going to be an afterthought on a machine like this, but for primarily carpets, if you still have a carpeted home, then this is still the best machine that I will ever recommend, bar anything else. Because after all, if you have mostly carpets, and you just are cleaning the bare floors in your kitchen and your bathroom, and you've got a small apartment, then you really just need this and a bare floor tool. And I mean, case in point, I just bought one of my best friends another one of these, brand new, because his apartment only has carpet with the exception of the kitchen, bathroom, dining room, and those rooms are very small. So I'm just going to give him one of these. In fact, there's a brand new one shortly off screen. I'm going to give him one of these plus a hard floor tool, and he'll be good. So, what are the drawbacks to this machine? Because, after all, it sounds like I'm reading this as if it's a commercial. Well, again, if you have primarily bare floors, then yeah, this isn't going to be the right fit for you. You're going to want a straight suction canister like a Eureka Mighty Mite, or even Bissell's own BigGreen or Sanitaire versions of those machines that are slightly more expensive, but slightly better quality. You also have the Simplicity Jill, and if you got a bit of a higher budget, you could also go up to something like a Miele C1. But as far as carpeting, which is what a upright is generally going to be geared towards, this machine is still the best. Because again, you've got a lot of little comfort features as well that have been on this machine since its inception. You've got a nice carrying handle right here. The machine is very lightweight, especially with the cord unwrapped. You've got more reach on this than the consumer version. You've got a much longer extension wand, and you have the wand built into the hose with the nice handle. And while the crevice tool on this is a little bit short, as you can see on my Sanitaire, you are able to upgrade it with a longer crevice tool if you should desire, which is what I did on the Sanitaire, since that one I use at home. And you can also add another extension wand and leave it on the machine. It may stick up a little bit, but you can add that to it too. This combination tool, while yes, isn't the best tool in the world, and I'll be the first to admit that, this upholstery side is pretty much useless, but the dusting brush side, while it's not very effective for dusting, in fact it will scratch things, very much so, don't use it for dusting. For upholstery, it's nice and stiff. It's also great for brushing your cat. And again, you can fit Dyson attachments on this as well, so if you want to upgrade your tools without having to upgrade your entire machine, you absolutely can run Dyson attachments on this, from the modern Ball DC25 all the way up to the current generation Ball Animal 3. Every upright attachment here in the US from the last 15 years will fit on this machine. And for the ones that are the older 1.25" attachments, Dyson does make an adapter for those as well. And you can get adapters that go from this fitting to 1.25" to run any attachments on it. Those adapters aren't as common, but they do exist, and you can get them if that is a sore sticking point for you. So, what other drawbacks are there? Again, that one tool is kind of annoying, and yeah, I mean, there's really not many other drawbacks from what I can tell. Again, I mentioned the bearing issue with the brush rolls on these, but in the case of this machine, the genuine replacements are so little, and there are aftermarket options from CWP available if that is a concern to you. And honestly, if you do upgrade this thing with a HEPA bag, a CWP brush roller, and a HEPA filter, this thing is an absolute beast. And the build quality on this is so much better than any consumer machine. This will last way longer, and this machine has definitely stood the test of time. There's a lot of people out there that still will insist that this machine is just the old school $40 Power Force with a commercial cord slapped on it, and that's just not true. there are a lot of improvements they've made. I mentioned the metal being reinforced, the plastic being better quality, the motor seals being better. You've got the better 10 amp motor as well in this unit, which is not present in the bagless version of this. So the motor is going to be much better quality than the ones you're going to find in the consumer versions, and it sounds a lot less harsh and shrill as well. So it's going to be more pleasant to use. So, generally speaking, if anyone ever asks, because I don't, you know, Ruby, God, I was almost done with the video and you just knocked me off track. Okay, pause. So in conclusion, just like with the Sanitaire SL4110A, the BGU1451T is the top vacuum that I recommend right now, at least if you have primarily carpets, like I was saying earlier. So this machine is going to be linked in the description, and the Sanitaire is going to be linked as well. I actually have commission links, so that's good. So if you do buy one of these, I do get a small kickback of about, I think, 2 or 3%. At least that's what it tells me. I'll have the bags and the belts that I recommend in the description as well. The belts aren't as big of a deal because it's just a piece of rubber. It doesn't really matter which one you get, but the Clean Fairy Style 7 HEPA bags are the ones I recommend the most, so I'll have those in the description too. That's another reason I like this, because you can essentially spend about 150-ish bucks, maybe 160 after tax. Then you don't have to spend anything else on expendables for at least a few years, or at least a couple years, which is another reason why I really like this machine. So I am going to do a comparison later on. Probably I'm going to record this tomorrow, the comparison between the Bissell and the Sanitaire, and there will be some other comparisons as well that you guys did request. So that is pretty much going to be that. Now, this machine is going to actually go back to my work where I've been using it, because I want to get this video and the comparison done before I bring it back to work, because I want to do a tune-up on this, which all I did was clean some carpet fibers out of the brush and replace the belt I replaced the belt whenever I replaced the brush roll recently, which I'll also try to link the parts page to this as well, because again, the fact that you can buy parts for this is another big reason why I've been recommending it. And I've said it before in a bunch of other videos how, you know, I prefer this over the other commercial machines, and I alluded to that earlier comparing it to the Auric and the Sanitaire. So again, I just don't understand why this machine doesn't get the love that it deserves, especially today's day and age with so many other companies pumping out absolute garbage that's unrepairable and a lot of times is riddled with safety and reliability issues. This has been a much more stable platform for me. And I may be biased because I grew up with the Bissells and I've always recommended the Bissells, but to me, this is still the best machine that you can get if you're wanting a corded upright with tools under 200 bucks, especially now that most options with a brush roll shutoff, like the previous Hoover T-Series Tempo and Wind Tunnel Max, are no longer available. And this is still much better than the bagged version because it doesn't have that flaw with burning carpets. So again, this will be in the description. I know this sounded almost like a paid ad, but again, I just legitimately really like this machine. And it's such a breath of fresh air to not have to do a review where I'm just ragging on the machine, and I get a million comments of people saying that I don't know what I'm talking about because I didn't like it. Thankfully, this does not have that problem, and if you're on the fence about getting one of these, of course you'll know what I'll say. Go ahead and jump on it, because these are great daily drivers, and they're still great machines that I would recommend. And in fact, the fact that I'm gifting one of these to one of my best friends clearly shows that I do put my money where my mouth is, and I do really recommend these. So yeah, that's just a quick updated review in 2025 of the Bissell BigGreen commercial BGU1451T. This is the exact same machine that I bought back in 2018, and even after all this time, it still runs and sounds perfect. The only thing I've had to do, like I said, was replace the brush roll after 6 years. And again, everything will be linked in the description. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Anyways, this is Intellitech Studios signing out. Have a good one. Peace.